Come down. Ooh, you make my high come down. Always tripping when you come around. Never have to cut you out like right now. You see, I don't have to drive me. You can say that for your mama. Maybe you should smoke some. Me try the marijuana. I was never you good. The vibe was straight. Showed you a couple of things and they feelings changed. I treated you right. Everything was a gift from a time to your bag and the color on your lip.
Welcome to Seahawks Man to Man podcast, powered by Blue Wire. Shout out to the company. My name is Michael Sean Dugar. You guys know where to follow me on whatever Elon Musk is calling that app these days. That name has not changed. It's also right there. Bang. Under my finger. For those watching us on YouTube, Seahawks Man to Man is the name of the channel. That is Seahawks Man, the number 2 man. Same thing on Instagram. Same thing on TikTok. Please go hit all the good buttons on all those platforms. Subscribe, like, repost, reshare, comment, rate, review. We appreciate all the love and support there. We really appreciate it. Thank you so much in advance. Chris, go ahead and talk to him.
What is going on, everybody? It's your boy, Christopher Kidd. You can follow me on Blue Sky and Twitter at CKIDD206, and that's CKID206.
I didn't mention this to Chris while we were doing our pre-production thing, but since I was mentioning TikTok, it actually just jumped out to me. We had an NFL summit. As you guys know, I was at the Combine. One of the things that happens at the Combine is the Athletic. We bring all of our people there, the Monday before really gets going. We have these long meetings, PowerPoints, graphs, coffee, journalist stuff. Kind of go over how the year went, directives from above, and just other stuff. And then one of the PowerPoints, I'm sitting there, and they're like, yeah, we're really tapping into trying to get the audience in different ways, not just, the written word. And one of the pop up to the next slide, and it's yeah, so our 2 writers who covered the Super Bowl, they actually have TikToks. Chad Graff and Michael Sean. I'm like, whoa, wait a minute.
No, stalking
I don't even know how to use TikTok. I feel like using me as an example of yeah, see, look at this stuff. I'm like, yo, wait a minute, time out.
No one told me about this.
That. Well, I was just my wife runs the account. So anyway, I bring that up to say, hit us on TikTok. I'm gonna start using it more. The New York Times is clearly monitoring that. Not that I've been doing nothing crazy on there, but that is a way to reach, because Chris, we're old now. That there's a whole demographic there that is just getting us from just scrolling shorts on YouTube, Reels, TikTok. One of the examples that was brought up in our meeting was our Steelers writer, Mike DeFabo. I forget what story he wrote, but it went viral because a girl got on TikTok and just read it. She just read the story on it, and it just went crazy. I think it was his story on the last meeting that Mike Tomlin had before getting fired. I think I can go look it up, but he was just yeah, it went viral. The chick just reading my story on there. But some people are consuming things like that. So make sure you guys subscribe, go to our TikTok, Seahawks Man to Man. Appreciate the love and support on there. We are coming to you guys right before kind of free agency really gets going. It's kind of been quiet from when I got back from Indianapolis. That was a long week. Learned a lot. I'm gonna share some of that here. Free agency is about to get going, so we will talk about what we expect to happen. Kind of using what I've heard in Indy, but also just based on the market and how things have kind of shaked out already thus far. So, man, Chris, this feels like a very, very. It feels like if they're gonna repeat or even just get close to sniffing repeating, that's gonna be determined in the next 5 days.
Oh yeah.
It feels like the draft will matter for sure. But it feels like really the work is now. We're gonna know what to say by the time you guys listen to this. It's March 6th. By March 11th, we're gonna know, it feels like, Chris, whether these guys are gonna have the type of roster that can run it back.
Well, despite how we view it, giving our opinions on this roster, they're gonna believe they can do it. Because I know for a fact the defense is probably still going to be the strong suit. I know they're probably going to lose a couple of guys, but I think with that front man four, they're not losing nobody there. So as long as they can get after the quarterback, hell, I mean, to be honest, Mike, if we want to enter our names in the draft and see if we can go out there and make a team, the Seahawks might give us a call at this point. So I think for the biggest thing is you just need able bodies that can stay healthy and learn and get better week in and week out. Because potentially you are going to lose some guys. That's just how this works in free agency. And Guys are going to get priced out of where they are unless they are okay with taking a hometown discount. And I probably should have asked you beforehand, but I don't think you can count on your hand how many Seahawks that you know of that decided to just take a discount, want to play in the city, whether they won a Super Bowl the year prior or made the playoffs. It's just not the common thing you see. When you see you can go make 60 million in 3 years versus 44 staying in Seattle, it's like, okay, I'm going to take that big leap. Now, for me and you, that's a lot of money. Give me the 44. I'm cool, but I'm also not playing 5 years in the NFL. I haven't now going into my, you add 3 more years, that's 8 years. So you're going to try to get as much bang for your buck because how many contracts are you going to get? I think you said it, Mike, in your career, you're only going to land you might get to your third, and that's a big maybe.
That's a huge maybe. Huge.
You're guaranteed that first one, obviously, and then that second one is like, okay, that might be it for you. So when you're thinking of that for some of these players, they're taking that into account as well, which is why they end up going to another team because they feel they can cash out, get the most bang for their buck. And then as you have seen as they get older, like, damn, I only got 1 Super Bowl, or I didn't get any Super Bowls, or for an NBA player, I didn't get any rings, but I cashed out. That's something that they can weigh. But we're not here to discuss that. But that's going to be interesting to see how this team is going to be going into next season because Super Bowl or bust, right? This team, Mike McDonald, I know you joked around, Mike, and told this guy, go on vacation, go enjoy your wife, go enjoy your kid. Try not to be watching film and trying to be prepared for what's coming next and how they're going to attack your defense. We know Mike McDonald did not do that, not take your advice. He probably started grinding immediately and is preparing for next season. So with that being said, what type of players is he going to have as his base to do that? Because that's going to be key. Like you lose Reek, well, you just lost a dude that ran 4.2, great skill set when he's locked in and just creates problems for wide receivers that think they can test him deep. You lose that, so now you're stuck with probably drafting a guy, Devin Witherspoon, Josh Jobe, you name it. You're going to have to fill that hole, and that's not going to be easy to fill. I know a lot of fans want Reek out of here. That's fine and dandy, but the tape don't lie. Reek is really talented, and from week 1, after his rough game, he really played well. And I know he gave up a touchdown in the Super Bowl. Okay, I hear you there, but Reek is you gotta see if you can match it. I know he's gonna go out there and test the market as he deserves, but if you can match it and keep him in Seattle, I think that would really help this defense, including Kobe Bryant. But I don't know if John Schneider's willing to pay all those Schneider bucks and keeping guys in Seattle.
Yeah, here's the thing about how the Seahawks view it, particularly John, is like, and you guys have probably peeped this too if you've read anything I've written or just listened to some of the podcast interviews he's done. And man, anyway, I'm not going to complain about it. I will say it's like John is so good with everyone else, but us being local media. Like his interviews with us, he's like stuttering and stuff and just like, and doesn't know what he's act like he doesn't know what he's talking about. And then he does like 30 minutes on Pat McAfee and it's great. I haven't listened to Mike McDonald on I think it was on Part of My Take or something. Apparently it was really good. I got a bookmark to listen to. Super annoying. Anyway, but if you guys have listened to any of this stuff or read any of this stuff, you can probably see how often John is mentioning the 70-man roster. They're taking that very seriously. So every little dollar counts. That's the difference between like, all right, let's not tender Jake Bobo, right? Because that's $3 million. If we're going to bring him back, let's bring him back for like, or let's bring back Cody White for, I don't know, $900K, whatever he makes. Like that $3 million difference or whatever, like that matters to these guys because it's the whole pie. Everything's coming from the whole pie. So yes, you'll see Seahawks have the 6th most cap space, 50-something million. Right, but that's for the whole pie. All the way through October when you're like, such and such is hurt. We need a new guard. Let's call around and maybe we can absorb some money, in acquiring a new guy because we left a little in the stash. Right? Like John believes in like a rainy day fund, and you've seen him use that. They won the Super Bowl because of that. Rasheed didn't cost much, but they've been able to improve their roster in the middle of the year because like, all right, we kept a little money so we can sign Dwayne Brown. Or trade for him. We can bring in Jadeveon Clowney. We can pick up Sheldon Richardson. No, that wasn't the greatest move, but like these moves, that's what it's for. And that's how he views it. And that's important because the number may say one thing on Over the Cap or Spot Track, Spot Track, however you say it. It might say one thing. They view the pie completely differently. Practice squad elevations to IR. Draft class, maybe not this year as much. Your draft class won't be that expensive. Even if you trade back and add like go from 4 picks to 7. Well, if 3 of those are like 7th round picks, those guys don't. It's not really enough to make a dent, but still, that's money. So that's important to keep in mind too. It's like John's. I won't look at it this way. I feel like because we've tried to tell people a lot of years that the Seahawks spending habits are not just based off not having cap space. The Seahawks are very comfortable sitting on cap space. Just like last year, even like they had cap space even after paying D-Log, Cup, and Sam. And it was like, okay, what are you going to do with it? John was like, nothing. I'm going to create some more. I'm going to cut Noah and create more. And then did nothing with that extra money they saved cutting Noah. It's a philosophy, their spending habits, not just, we don't have any money, so we can't spend. No. If you want to keep guys, you can keep guys. Like if the Seahawks were like, let's keep everybody. Let's keep Shaheed, Ken, Reek, Job, Boye. They could do it. You'd have to, add some void years and get creative, but you can do it. You can do it. The Saints keep everybody every year, and their team not even good, but they do it. So you can do it. They just don't like to operate that way. So keep that in mind as well. If like, the Seahawks couldn't keep such and such. No, that's a lie. They could. They didn't want to, and that's okay as well. Just remember, it's not just, we didn't have the cash and had a bread, we had a cap space. You can always create cap space if you need to. You can throw some void years on some stuff. You can get real creative with your accounting to keep guys if you want them. That's number one. Keep that in mind. And another thing that's when I was talking to people in Indianapolis that I want you guys to keep in mind because it was reminded to me or emphasized to me is that generally they got like this pool of money. It's like, hey, we're going to spend, I'm making up these numbers. These are not their numbers. But let's say we're going to spend $50 million on our DB room. That's what we got. Our DB room, that's what we've kind of budgeted for. Cool. All right. If we go above that in negotiations, because we got the Jets really pushed for Kobe, so we threw an extra $5 million because we really wanted to keep Kobe. Let's say I do something like that. That $5 million has to come from somewhere. So it's like, all right, now we have to pull from our we got to dip in our tight end budget or our O-line budget or whatever budget it is. Like it comes from somewhere. That's how kind of they view the thing. When we saw that with the Legion of Boom, basically, they basically said, hey, we have the best defense in the league. We're going to pay our defense. And they went from having a really expensive offensive line to not because the money had to come from somewhere. It did. And that was okay. That's a fine way to operate. The problem is you just need to draft really good O-linemen. So the cheap O-linemen you have are now good. That was the problem. Not that they were like, all right, well, we have 3 of the 5 highest paid DBs now. And it's fine. Your DBs are all pro. That money just needs to come from somewhere. So keep that in mind as well. I imagine they have some type of wiggle room when they're negotiating, but it's like, yeah, okay. If we're going to allocate a certain amount of money to a Spoon on an extension, a Reek on a new deal, a Job or Kobe or whoever, or even Ty Okada on the minimum, like, okay, cool. If we go above that, it's got to come from somewhere. So again, keep that in mind as well. This is kind of how I got the sense that they view this. And this is not new, but for some reason this year, I just want to keep that in mind or reemphasize that. Maybe just because they have so many guys that you're wondering whether they're going to keep or not keep. And they just came off winning the Super Bowl, right? So now everyone's like, keep everybody. Let's go win again, which makes perfect sense. I would want that as well if I was a fan. Another thing that stood out to me that I kind of got a wind of in Indy, but then also John said on the radio just on Thursday's last John Snyder show. He talked about where the coaches come in on this. Because I asked Mike McDonald that in Indy too. I'm like, okay, where do you come in? He's like, well, yeah, we're partners, blah, 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 But also, John just mentioned, he's like, yeah, we're going to meet with the coaches and stuff on Friday, which is the day we're dropping this. All right. Hey, guys, here's our plan. This is what we want. If this doesn't work, here's plan A for this. Here's plan B for that. And that's where the coaches are. Obviously, they work together, but look at where they're kind of coming in, quote unquote, on the process, right? So that's important to keep in mind. Like this time of year, John is Mike McDonald. He is running the show. I love the analogy that John gave on the radio. Actually, he was like, yeah, this time of year, it's like reversed in that when they're up in the booth and Kubiak or whatever is going for it on 4th down, or Mike McDonald's like, all right, we just got to trust these guys know what they're doing. All right, cool. Same thing. Coaches now it's reversed. Like, all right, cool. We're gonna trade Geno, huh? All right, what are we gonna do if we do that? Oh, here's plan A, here's plan B. All right, I can get down with that. All right, to trade DK too. Goddamn. All right, what's plan A? What's plan B? All right, cool. Let's roll. Like that's the kind of order of operations here. Like the coaches have a role, of course. It's not just Mike McDonald sits there and says, "All right, we're getting rid of all these guys. I got no say." But this really is the front office's time to shine. This is they run the show. They get all the reports on everybody, yada yada yada. And if someone in the coaching staff has a relationship with somebody, like last year, it's like, oh, hey, Clint knows Sam or Clint. Hey, you know him, right? He's cool. He's good people. All right, yeah, come on. It's like when you meet somebody and they like, hey, can I bring my homie to this party with us? Like, oh wait, you know him? All right, he good. All right, he good. Oh, you know DeMarcus Lawrence? Yeah, well, yeah, come on, $15 million a year or whatever they gave D-Law. But the front office does the heavy lifting on that. And so that's kind of, I wanted to go through some of those philosophical things to keep in mind, like how this works money wise, flow wise. Negotiations can be a little different. I don't have a ton of like concrete insight on that, but it does sound like generally what happens a decent amount of the time is, all right, this guy expects to make this much. That's too rich for us. So you go get that. You get that, God bless. If you don't, if you overshot it a little bit, outkicked your coverage, then you can come back to us. Because once you get back into this little range, this number, now we can talk. I think I'm glad John said something about that on the radio as well. He kind of used Mike B and Cliff as an example. I think they went in thinking, oh boy, we cannot afford that. And then it was like, oh, well, if it's at this number, we can. And sometimes you think these agents will tell you they can go get whatever. Chris, remember Jadeveon Clowney? How long that took for him to get a deal?
I was in D.C. when the news broke. I was so mad because I was on vacation.
And what month were you in D.C.?
It was in August. It was right before training camp.
Exactly. That took a long time for him to get to get a deal because it was very clear his agent, forget his agent's name, was like, all right, JD, I can get you such and such. Well, he lied. He could not. And so sometimes the agents overshoot it a little bit. They go in telling the client, hey, man, I'm about to get you this bag. Watch this. And then like Wednesday of free agency comes up, it's day 3, and they're like, yo, so all the money for receivers done dried up, agent. Where's my money? It's like, yeah, hold on. Let me call Seattle real fast. Hey, can we still get that? So that happens as well. And then sometimes they're on the same page. Like, hey, you kind of thinking this? We're kind of thinking this. Let's hash it out on Monday, whatever. And then that's how like a Leonard Williams gets re-signed or something like that. So that will kind of be my understanding of how this goes with some of the markets, Chris. I could see that, like you mentioned, Reek. How do I want to frame this? I kind of get the sense that they're in that first scenario I outlined, where it's like, hey, you are expecting to get X. Hey, if you get X, God bless you, buddy. We will we will ship your ring to you. we love you. That's good for you. Now, for whatever reason, you don't get X, free agent day 1, day 2 hits, and you realize that you got bad advice or whatever, and you get back down to where this range that we like, call us. That's cool. But the expectation you can tell is more like, hey, he about to go get X. We don't have X. We do not. Chris, I could also see K9 operating in that same space. Like, oh, okay. You are going in expecting to get X. And boy, that is good for you and your family. Hey, but we do not have X. We do, but we'd have to pull that from another part of the budget. We good on that. But if you get down to Y, that other number, you call us. Our number will not change. 425, hit us. We'll figure it out. And the last 2 people, I think that will be relevant for as well, Chris, is Kobe and Shaheed. I could very easily see both of their representatives being like, hey, we are expecting X. I don't know about that. I think it was Brady Henderson who mentioned like 18 million for Shaheed. I didn't hear that in the combine. I heard a little lower, but it's whatever. we're talking to different people. There's tons of agents out there. But you can tell, like, it'd be like, hey, go out there. If you're the Seahawks, go ahead, Kobe. Go ahead, Rasheed. Love you. If you get that, good for you. That's great. Good for you, your family. We will ship your ring to you. If you don't, though, call us. Come back. We love you. Because, Chris, you know how John always says, like, yeah, the door's always open. He kind of says that.
Yep.
I've come to kind of understand that's what he means. And it's like, hey, I think he let Jermaine Kearse test the market in the same way a few years ago. It's like, hey, a few years, it might have been 10 years ago because we're old. But back then, like, hey, Jermaine, you think you were X? Go ahead, buddy. God bless you. I think Jermaine got out there and was like, whoa, and no one thinks I'm that nice. I'm back, and that's cool. I think that's like not a bad way of doing business. Sometimes that's why you'll hear players be like, oh yeah, I got disrespected by Seattle. Sometimes they won't even offer, like, because they already are, let's say they're thinking, all right, we heard this guy wants like 25. We only was gonna offer him like 17. Then they have to kind of weigh, all right, do we just offer him the 17? Because that could be viewed as disrespectful too. Or do we just not offer him at all because we know we're not in the same ballpark? Then the guy signs with the other team and he gets asked in media, like, oh, hey, what happened with Seattle? It's like, yeah, nah, I just like to be where I'm appreciated, I mean, Seattle back like, wait, well, hold on. No, we did. But just not at that number. We weren't going to insult you with an offer. But some guys are different. Some guys would at least rather get the insulting offer to feel like, all right, at least you tried. And sometimes it's like, nah, they offered me some BS. Now I play for the Jets or whatever bad team it is. So with Reek, what did I say? Shaheed, Kobe, Ken.
K9. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I could see those scenarios where, like, all right, man, you deserve to get your bag if that's, if you can get that. Cool. Because I do think that if I was representing all four of those guys, I imagine I would probably think I can get far more than what Seattle would offer. Like, if I'm Reek, I at least need the Carlton Davis deal from last year, which was like 3 and 54. I at least need that. If I'm representing Reek, I need that. If I'm Kobe, I want, like, who should we pull up for a contract, Chris, on safeties? Let's see. It's contracts table. APY. Shout out Over the Cap. It's a great website. If I am, oh yeah, here we go. Let's see if you agree with this one, Chris. If I'm Kobe, I need this Javon Holland contract. That sound fair?
What is it? I'm pulling. My computer's working extremely slow. What is it?
3 years and looks like he got $15 million a year.
Oh, I feel like you could probably go a little higher, but yeah, that's fine.
I'm just saying at the very least. Like, if I was repping Kobe, we are starting there. Hafunga got looks like $13 million a year. Quentin Lake got 12.7. Yeah, see, I'm not even. If I was repping Kobe, I'm like, yo, we need to start at who did I just say? Javon Holland, who was a very good player in Miami, by the way.
I mean, shoot, Jesse Bates was making 16.
I think Jesse made All Pro though. Like, I
understand that, but even then, it's like, wow, okay.
Yeah, Jesse was All Pro twice. Pro Bowl once, second team All Pro twice. So I can see why Jesse got that bag. Same thing with like Buddha, Minka, Derwin. So the top of the safety market makes sense, but that second tier there, if I was repping Kobe, we're starting there. And if I was the Seahawks, I'd be like, if you get that, good for you. That is great. Congratulations. Jim Thorpe winner, Super Bowl champ, $15 million, $16 million a year. Good for you. That's great. But that number comes down, then you call us. So again, I don't know how we'll go through which guys we think will be back or not, but just in terms of like how this may flow, I can see that. And that brings me to like the Shaheed thing. What was that, Chris? Wednesday that Adam Schefter had the Shaheed tweet. Yeah. Let's pull it up so we have it accurately. Shefty said, shout out to Shefty. I do enjoy though. I have nothing against Schefter. I don't know him. I do know I am enjoying. I don't know if you've seen this, Chris. People are starting to kind of see through like the quid pro quo of some of the tweets. Like,
Yep.
huh, you see, you're doing this agent here a favor, huh, with this wording of this thing, you know. So for example, here, this tweet from Schefter. Yeah, this was March 4th. Rasheed Shaheed is said to not be close to an extension with the Seahawks, and the expectation is that he now will test the free agent market Monday, per sources. It's like, who benefits from that being sent out to Schefter's 11.5 million followers? Whoever gets 3% of Shaheed's new deal. That's who. Bingo. I think he's a Drew Rosenhaus guy too, who clearly has a good rapport with Schefter. You just go on Twitter, search Schefter and Drew Rosenhaus, and how often Schefter is the first person to break that his clients are signing. Again, no problem. I have no knock on that. That's how the game goes. That's why local people don't break anything. This is all quid pro quo. But I bring that tweet up from Shefty to say that kind of match is also one more thing I heard in Indy. It just didn't seem like they would be on the same page. And Chris and I were just talking about this pre-production. Like, what did we say his number was, Chris? In terms of receiving yards? Like, he did not do much as a receiver
He
at all.
had 600 receiving yards, no touchdowns. So yeah, not the greatest output for a guy that you brought in, and hoping that he can get to a Jacoby Myers type thing where, I mean, obviously JSN was number one, but you saw what Jacoby was able to do as a receiver. It worked out really well.
I'm going to pull up, what week did he get here? Week 10. So this is week 10. Shaheed as a Seahawk had 15 catches for 188 yards. Okay, that's regular season. Let me add the playoffs. Let's see. Wait, did he not have a catch in the playoffs?
He did. He on the third down. He against the Niners, or against the Rams in the divisional game. He caught that third down for like 50 yards. That bomb.
Yeah, I don't know why that's not showing up. But regular season, 15 catches, 188 yards, no touchdowns. Let's see. Playoffs, he had 3 catches for 78 yards in 3 games and 1 first down, and then ran the ball a few times. It was weird. I was trying to canvas every market while I was out there in Indy. And when his market was interesting, because on one hand, I would talk to some people that weren't associated with the Seahawks and be like, yeah, you're about to get a bag. Look at that speed, blah, blah, blah. Look how many teams need number 2 receivers. I'm like, oh, okay, great. And then talk to some other people who are like, who also rep receivers in this market. And are like, okay, go look at his numbers. That's 20 million to you? I'm like, all pro returner. It's like, yeah, people aren't just paying returners. You know, it's just like it again, what I was told. We'll see what the money actually gets. But I can then see how if you're Shaheed people, you're like, hey man, we better get this bag. Like it's time. And I can see on the Seahawks side being like, hey, if you want to go let's do this again, Chris. Let's pull up some contracts here.
I got you. So we'll start
who's a good comp for Rasheed?
Let's go with this is I don't know, like a good comp, like okay, Rashad Bateman, I guess maybe, or a Darius Slayton. They made 12 million respectively. Rashad Bateman was at 12.2 and Darius at 12. Then you got Cooper Kupp who made 15 and Jerry Jeudy at 17.5. And then you get into Jacoby Myers who earned he about to get a new deal. So I would imagine if he keeps balling out.
He already did it.
Oh yeah, duh. So I would say probably Rashad Bateman, I guess.
Yeah, Jacoby got 20 million a year after playing for the Jags for like 4 games. They were like, huh. He was going off.
He was.
That's the thing. But if you're Shaheed's like, you guys don't win the Super Bowl without me.
Oh yeah, most definitely. That's why I say I say meet in the middle, you know. But that's why I also mentioned after the game, I said John Schneider should be trying to do it then. Because guess how much he could have got him for? He probably could have got him for like 15.5. If he did it right then and there, like, yo, thank you. We got 15.5, 15.98 on the table. Hit some incentives. We'll throw an extra, $2 million on there. John could have did that. He didn't. And now you got to this point where now the rumor is between 16 all the way to $18 million. If he got ahead of it back in week 16, perhaps he wouldn't be in the situation, but that's where it is right now. So the comp would probably have to be, I would get, money-wise, Rashad Bateman, Khalil Shakir, I mean, Cooper Kupp making $15 million. Like, who was more valuable, Cooper Kupp or Rasheed Shaheed?
Let's see. I'm looking at Rashad Bateman's contract right now. 3 years, 36. An updated version of that. He just signed that. So an updated version of that with the new salary cap is about, according to Over the Cap, 13.2. If you're Shaheed, if you're Shaheed's agent, say, hey man, the Seahawks are offering us 3 years, 39. You taking it or no? Or are you testing the market? You're Shaheed's agent.
Testing the market. That's what an agent's for, right? You got to get your client the biggest bang for his buck, and that's not going to fly. We're going to have to try somewhere else. But the reality of the situation is, I don't know who else is going to be buying a guy that is a kick return specialist, but didn't produce the way the Seahawks needed him to as wide receiver. Not to mention, he did win a game for the Seahawks literally against the Rams in that Week 16 matchup. He took over. That's great. But where was the production at wide receiver? They brought him there to do two things. He did one thing really well, but I don't know how many return specialists are getting checks out here.
Yeah, so that's and last thing on Shaheed too. Well, not last thing, but also, okay, cool. Let's say you do even give him. Let's say you say, all right, we'll give you a Cup deal, 15 million. Okay, we're already paying Cup 15, and we got to pay Jax. How much money we spending on, again, like I said earlier,
wide receiver room,
pool of money for stuff. You're paying 3 receivers, which I don't think they've ever done. Yeah, they can't possibly have done that before. They've paid Tyler and DK before, but I don't know if they're ever paying a third guy too, like over 10 million per year. So you got that. That money has to come from somewhere. Somebody's not getting paid. Again, that's kind of how they do it. It's not like the Eagles or like the Niners or even the Saints. We're like, yeah, we can pay everybody if we want. Here's some void years, option bonuses, get creative. No. It's like that money has to come from somewhere. Where's it going to come from? Great question. Probably from running back, I would guess, if they do that. So, you only allocate so much money to the offense versus keeping your defense together. John keeps saying defense wins championships. So this is going to be very tough. I feel like there's probably not going to be a scenario, Chris, where the fans are happy with like who they choose to keep and let go. We'll see. Maybe I'm wrong on that, but it just doesn't feel like enough of these guys are going to get kept. I could see one more point before we go into kind of predicting how this is going to go, who stays, who goes, and who they could replace with some of these guys. You mentioned the hometown discount thing. None of these guys are from Seattle, so no. But I could see something in Shaheed's case where, like, very similar to Ernest, where it's like, okay, I bounced around. I got traded mid-season. I found a home here. Like, this place embraced me. I won here. Like Ernest, it was like, you look at Ernest's deal relative to linebackers. Ernest's deal is
Garbo
friendly. It is friendly to the team. But for Ernest, I remember talking to him in, I think, September. He said, man, he was laying there with his wife one night after they signed the deal, maybe a couple days after or something. He's just looking at it like, damn, I really did it. Went and bought his mom a whip or a house or something, like maybe both. And I'm saying that to express his appreciation for that deal. But you go look like with them pulling up the linebackers right now by average annual salary. Ernest not even in the top 10. He's not. Ernest makes $9.5 million a year. He was just all pro. But for him, it's like, yo, I did it. I got this. Like, I'm happy here. Let's go win. Maybe Shaheed is the same, where it's like, I just came from an organization that I loved. I love New Orleans. We wasn't winning a damn thing. I got here. We just won a bowl. I want to be here. Maybe I take something like the Bateman deal. Because that's probably where that'd probably be my ceiling on that if I was the Seahawks. I think you pulled a good comp there. That'd probably be as high as I go. I'm already stretching thin, paying 3 receivers anyway. If I'm the Seahawks, like, I give you the Bateman deal. Love you. Give you that. Let's go. You want more than that? You and Drew Rosenhaus can go over there and call the Raiders, buddy.
Have fun winning 4 games next season.
That's the thing. Do guys want to win? And there's no guarantee. You can sign with the Seahawks and they can lose. But
absolutely.
Also, but like, some organizations are just, more serious.
Yeah,
than
the
others.
Jets out here giving Brees Hall franchise tag. I'm like, did you not watch what happened last season with that guy? Like, okay.
Yeah, that was crazy. That was franchise tag was nuts. It was like 14 million. Nah,
Yes. For 1
yeah,
year, y'all bugging.
yeah, nah. I'd have told Brees, if you can get 14 million open market, buddy, you go ahead and do that. And if you can't, come back to us and let's talk. I don't, for what it's worth, I don't think the Seahawks strategy is like terrible in some regard. The only thing that I will criticize is if like John Schneider keeps kind of hinting at like, yeah, this draft not that great. That's why you've seen us make the moves we make. You know, okay, cool. But if you're only going to make like 4 picks in this class, all in the back of back of each round, they have the last pick in each round, and then they have Cleveland's 6th round pick right now. If you're going to treat it that way, okay, then bring back all your guys. Because otherwise, the draft is how you build a championship team. You can get a guy in the 5th round, he can be all pro. The whole way to build a championship roster is to get a high ROI. And we've talked about this on the show before. You want guys to be outperforming their contract. Like that is what we want. That's how you do it. If everybody's just playing to what they make, your team probably is not that good. Especially since usually you have a pretty top heavy roster and you're relying on some guys at the bottom of this to be outperforming their stuff. So let's say even if you have you're the Chiefs, you're like, all right, cool. We're paying Patrick, we're paying Chris Jones, we're paying Travis, paying Creed Humphrey, we're paying Trey Smith, their guard. Like, okay, there are some guys we're paying at the top of the market. Okay, well, how do we still field a competitive roster? Great. Jalen Watson doesn't make anything. Trent McDuffie doesn't make anything. Some other guy, I think their left tackle, I don't know everybody's contract on the Chiefs at the top of my head, but like they had periods where guys weren't making anything. Drew Tranquil, Nick Bolton. That's how you balance that out. So just the idea of like, oh, the draft's not good, so we'll only pick a few times. Okay, if you're going to do that, then you need to keep the guys you know are good. You can't budget and punt on the draft. You're still trying to field a team, like a competitive team, because everyone is chasing you now. Everyone is looking at the Seahawks like, how do we beat these guys? Like, see the Rams? The Rams said, hey, Chris, we haven't talked about this, but I respect the Rams. They
Hell
said,
yeah.
damn, the last 2 playoff runs, the Rams have given the eventual Super Bowl champ their toughest game of the playoffs. Like they gave the Eagles their toughest game because the Eagles just beat the Chiefs' ass, and the Eagles beat the snot out of the who they played in it was Washington in the NFC Championship game. They dropped 60 on them and then smoked Patty. Their toughest game was the Rams. Look at the Seahawks. Those are the toughest games of the year. We're against the Rams. So if you're the Rams, you're like, dog, we have to beat Seattle. We have to. What do we need to do? Who cares about the budget right now? We need to go beat Seattle. I can respect that. But the Seahawks have to recognize too, everyone is operating like that. Like we got to beat Seattle. So it's like, do you want a budget? Do you want to draft well? Do you want to win? Like that's the only thing, Chris, on their strategy that seems a little funky. I'm like, you guys want to have you want to have clean books, or you want to have another ring night, another parade? It doesn't feel like they can have both and only pick like 4 times in this draft class. That seems a little funky to me.
Well, I'm gonna steal your line. Cap space does not win you Super Bowls, so we'll see how this pans out. Because you can go cheap, it don't mean you're gonna have better players. Obviously you'd want to. How's that Torrey Horton working out for you? They had to go and get Rasheed Shaheed because he went down, and unfortunately, he's had injuries prior to getting to the NFL. He missed his most part of his senior year or junior year.
Yeah, like the second half of his final year.
Exactly. With Colorado State because of a injury, and that's why he fell in the draft because he got hurt, obviously. So, yeah, going cheap can help you, but then you find yourself needing a third wide receiver, which the Seahawks had to trade for, and it worked out. Rasheed Shaheed was a game changer in a facet of the game and kick return and punt returning, special teams that is. But do you want to put yourself in that situation again, John? Are you willing to take a risk and get some young guys, let Reek walk and be like, we'll get a young corner. Let Shaheed go. We'll find another receiver. Or we're hoping on Torrey to come back and recover, be 100% and be that third receiver, which I think he's capable of doing. What he put on tape was some really good stuff. He just unfortunately got banged up and missed the remainder of the season. So I think it comes down to, as you mentioned, Mike, how do you want to play it? There's a couple of options here. Do you want to try to repeat? Do you want to be cheap? What's the ending goal here for the future? Because right now you're cooking with hot grease. And Mike McDonald, he's one of one. Are you gonna let it go away and fizzle out because you wanted to be cheap and you try to play it safe? Or are you going, you know what? Put your balls on the table, spend some money. As you say, Mike, swipe that credit card. It'll come back later. But right now, we're trying to win 3 Super Bowls. We'll worry about that. And after our 3rd straight Super Bowl win, damn, we in trouble. Okay, time to blow it up. Or whatever the case may be, however you want to do it. But I think if you want to win now, you got to keep as many guys as you can. I think you talked about that after. I think we talked about after the Super Bowl. Like if you want to do this again, you got to keep as many guys on the defense, especially that you can. Offense, you could probably make some things work, but defensively, Seahawks are the best defense in the league. Let a few people go, that could drastically change how things look.
Yeah, I want to I know some people are we're not in the prediction betting market game. Although we should get like a prediction sponsor. I've been looking at this like Kalshi stuff and Polymark. It's crazy how the prediction stuff is hot right now. Anyway, let's see. Let's see who. Let's make some predictions here. Let's put it. Let's see. Let's look in the crystal ball and see who is going to be a Seahawk by next week. By the end of next week, or the start of next week, because free agency gets going pretty fast here. Let's start with Ken. What do you think? Ken staying or Ken gone?
Man, I would right now. I have to say he's gone. The only way he stays is if he's okay with getting a nice discount. As you mentioned, he's not even from here. He's from Michigan, if I'm not mistaken. So
No, he's from I think he's from Memphis.
Okay, my bad. Got the M's mixed up. Not Michigan, Memphis. So he's from East Side. He's from that area. He probably don't even care to be here in that regard. He probably want to go back close to home or something. So a hometown discount feels disrespectful in that regard. So I can imagine him signing elsewhere, unfortunately. But you're hoping that Kenny McIntosh can return to full form and be really good, and you'll get Zach Charbonnet down the line, and then you can draft a guy. That sounds decent. Doesn't sound like the end of the world, but you're banking on being cheap and guys coming back from injury and being better than they were. Not to mention matching what K9 did for 3 games, which it was 3 games. The sample size is not all that big, but he did it.
Yeah, that one I'm with you on. I would anticipate. I remember I was mapping out that scenario where they say, "Hey, you want this? If you can get that, God bless." I think K9 can command that, especially with Brees being tagged. Basically, if you need a running back, Ken's the best option on the market. If I was looking around, like, and I thought this is something. I think I wrote about this in the Athletic too. I kind of thought Ken would have to choose between, in terms of like getting paid on a bad team or taking a little bit of cheese off the top to stay with a good team. My thing, I came away from Indy thinking, damn, he might be able to go to some good teams. Some good teams might want him. For instance, Houston was one I heard was like, yo, they'll pay Ken tomorrow. That must have fell through because they went and traded for David Montgomery. But like, clearly that they want a running back, right? They just chose David, but they were a team I heard. The Broncos sound like a team that wants running backs. I don't know if he'll end up there, but Chiefs as well. There's some bad teams as well, but I could see Ken being like, make the bunch of money on the bad team, like you said. Yeah, I forget which player you're talking about. Like, yeah, you could take the cheese, the 60 mil to go to whatever this bad team, or take a little less cheese to take the to come back. But if the option is, I'm getting comparable money to go play for a team that's also good.
See you.
All right, man. Here's my forwarding address. Send that ring, and we good. So yeah, that is why I would expect him to be gone. I think whoever reps or David Cantor, I think is Ken's agent. Forget the name of the agency, but I could see them being like, "Hey, we're gonna go test it," and then coming back to Seattle and being like, we got some offers from some teams that are pretty good. Not just like all the Titans paid you. I don't see Ken doing something like that. Or the Giants, the Jets obviously wouldn't do it, but some of these teams are just like clearly like rebuilding or something. The Raiders wouldn't do that. They got Genty, but I just couldn't see something like that for Ken. I know Ken want to win, so I'm with you on that. I would expect him to be going unless he's just like, you know what, I really love Seattle, but like you said, it's the agent's job to get you that bag, and it sounds like Ken should be able to get a bag. I do think though that's one where if they did lose him, they will go to free agency and try to just get another, at least another vet guy. And I actually think there's some decent options here. Like Ken's draft class quietly had good options here. Like in terms of bang for your buck. I think even on draft night, I really liked Damian Pierce, for instance. I think he went to Houston. I think he's a unrestricted free agent. I think he was on the Chiefs. You do that. What's the BYU kid? Tyler Algier. I liked him in Ken's draft as well. These guys all went day 3, whereas Ken was day 2. If you do something like that, which I could easily see them doing, go ahead. You got someone else?
What do you think about Rico Dowdle?
See, I don't like that. I feel like if we're gonna do that, just pay Ken, because I think Ken is a. So also, I do know, and it's not like inside knowledge. I think Rico pretty much said it. He was like, "Yo, I'm trying to get paid," you know.
Well, never mind.
And if he is, and yeah, this was like during the season too. Like at his locker or something like that. It was like, yeah, no, I'm hoping to get a bag. I can find it, but he wants to get paid. Cool, go get. Like the Panthers are probably like, look, we already paid Chuba, so if you want to go get that, God bless you, which is fine. But I can see him going a little cheaper than that because the guys you mentioned, I know they feel good about them running the pill. George Holani, Kenny McIntosh. You can draft. Would they like to have Ken? Of course. But if I'm Ken's agent, we're starting at like James Cook money. All right, well, go get that. You don't? Come back to us. So that one we're in agreement on. I could also see Kenneth Gainwell too signing if they go dip into the market here. But I think it would be like very, very modest contract they want to spend on that if it's not Ken. Which I think is actually it's not a bad year to go get a guy, you know. But we've seen what they've done in free agency with running backs. It hasn't been great. It was like, remember Eddie Lacy, Carlos Hyde, you know, like they will go get free agent running backs. I think they offered Gurley at one point. So I could see them dipping into that water, but it would be, I think, very modest. Even like Pacheco, who I also think was in Ken's class. So I could see stuff like lower end stuff like that if they lose Ken. All right, Chris, our next guy, Reek Woolen. What's your prediction? Staying or going?
He gone, man. He just seemed like the brother that's just like, yeah, man, I'm about to go join I don't know, New York Jets.
The Winnipeg Jets.
Yeah, let me get. You say you're giving me $32 million a year. I'm your DB1. I'm the new sauce out here. What's up? That's just that's the vibe I get, and I'd be shocked if he stays in Seattle for like $25 million a year. 25 for 25 a year. What's that put you at? 325. So 75. I'd be stunned if the Seahawks are like, yeah, man, we'll do that, and he's like, cool. I think he's trying to go out there and see if he can get damn near 90.
Yeah, he should. If I was repping Reek, like I said, I'm starting at the Byron Murphy, Carlton Davis, Travarius Ward, I think Paulson Adebo. I think they all signed the same deal last year, like 3 for 54. Yeah, if I'm repping Reek, that's my bag. We're gonna go try to get that, and we want to start. Remember, Reek don't start here. Like I want my client to get paid like a starter because he's that talented. And from the Seahawks, cool, man. You want that? That's great. If you can't, cool. This is an interesting one in terms of replacements because I don't think this is a good time to spend. Like running back, I could see them like, all right, you can go someone cheaper if you don't want to pay Ken $12 million a year. But honestly, I think, and this goes in, I'll jump in and make my own prediction here. I do think like if they lose Reek, which I would expect, Job seems like a no-brainer to bring back. There's your replacement. Like you don't want to give Reek whatever, even the Diameter Lenore contract, which I think is 17 mil. Like I would at least need that. Like, come on, my client is it. Like,
he's better than that.
Like, come on, man. They at least need that. But if you're the Seahawks, like we don't want to do that. Job, I think Job is staying. You think Job is staying?
I mean, as cheap as he is, yeah, they're about to give him like a Drake Thomas type deal. He about to be like, yeah, absolutely. So yeah, I would imagine they're keeping Josh Job and they'll go elsewhere. But it would help if they were like, yeah, we're going to get rid of Job, get some money back, and throw that towards Reek if they wanted to keep him. But I don't know if that's if the organization sees it that way. Josh Jobe is a fine corner. He's good. He's talented. He's undersized, but he goes out there and plays big. So, and Mike McDonald loves him. I mean, the freaking guy plays so freaking hard. That's Mike McDonald. I'm paraphrasing, but he loves Josh Jobe's attitude and how he plays, and that's one of his guys. Not that Reek isn't, but he's just a perfect match.
Yeah, he loves what Job represents for the program. I think is the big one. Same thing with this next guy, Kobe Bryant. I'm still torn on this one.
I think
But
they
what you
find a
got?
way to get it. I think they find a way to get it done. I think Kobe has earned that, if that makes sense, because he started he was a cornerback, guys. Let's rewind here. Pete got him as a corner. He wasn't really all that. It didn't work out because he's supposed to be the nickel, and it didn't work. That wasn't the plan. The plan did not come to fruition. So then he gets put on the bench. Then he gets an opportunity to play some safety, and he's found his rhythm. He's found his groove, and has been impactful. As you like to say, Mike, when you watch the tape, there's a reason why the quarterback's holding the football.
Mhm.
Kobe is right there, and I know Mike McDonald is probably watching the film like, yeah, we have. If the Seahawks want to be back to where they were, they got to find a way. And not to mention, he's a damn good tackler coming downhill. I don't know how many times I would send Mike clips just like, look at this. Look at number 8, dog. He's like 20 yards away, and he beelines it, and he makes a tackle for 1 yard or no gain. Like, I think I can look it up how many stops he had, but he was a laser beam. He was just phenomenal. And that I don't know if you want to just allow that to walk away. Kyle Cotter's a fine player, but he ain't no Kobe Bryant.
Yeah, I'm really torn on this because, again, much like Job, on top of the talent, Kobe is the test. He's a testimonial for the organization, for the coaching staff. It's like, hey, if you're on the bench or you're on the practice squad like Job was, but if you come to work with the right attitude and you prove that you can help us, you can give us the best chance to win with your way you practice and the way you approach things and the way you play for your teammates, you can come off the practice squad and be a starter. You can take someone's job. You can help us. You can be one of the guys. And I feel like they need that in their organization because it just reinforces it. It's one thing to say that, but then if you can be like, all right, that's kind of how we get down here, and be like, see, look at Job over there. He's starting for us. He was on the practice squad for 7 weeks. Or look at Kobe, and then rattle off his timeline that you just said, or even Drake Thomas now is one of those guys as well. Like, hey, Drake, I think broke his leg or hurt his knee in the Ravens game against Mike McDonald's team. Like, was an afterthought. I remember him walking around with this huge brace on his knee in the locker room. I thought nothing of it, but I was like, oh, his season's cooked. That's just all I remember thinking. But look at him now. Started in the Super Bowl, just got paid, right? So I could see that value, like having him be that testimonial. Now, on top of being a good player and a leader, the flip side of that is because that is part of your program and you believe in that developing all of your guys, you can probably be like, okay, if we lose him, we can develop another one. Like Ty can be that, maybe not the same player because they're different positions, but they're different versions of safety, I should say. They're both safeties, but Ty is different than Kobe. But the other side of that coin is exactly, we can develop a Josh Jobe and a Drake Thomas into being this. So we don't need to give nobody $15 million a year because our system allows us to do A, B, and C. So that's why I brought up how the coaching staff in the front office kind of work in this. Because I imagine if it was up to the staff, they'd be like, nah, we need Kobe. It's like, well, I'm sure you think that, but if here's plan B and plan C, trust us, we know what we're doing. You're like, oh, okay, let's rock. So I'm stalling a little bit here, but I am going to say that Kobe is not back. I could see teams, I could see in that scenario where they're like, all right, you just gave me the number here. Kobe had 23 stops, 4 picks. I could see teams being like, dog, we can use that. We will pay for that. Just like a Javon Holland got paid. Some of the other safeties have gotten paid. I can just see it. And he's earned that. He's earned that too. I think a team would benefit from having Kobe the same way like the Packers have benefited from paying Xavier McKinney. There's some other guys who have switched teams and played well. Jesse Bates has played well since going from, I think he was with the Bengals to the Falcons. Like, I just don't think it's one of those contracts the team's going to regret doing. And this one is a tricky one for finding replacements. I struggled with this because I don't like the safety class of veterans. Like, if I was going to keep someone, I would just keep Kobe. But then I'm like, all right, let's turn to the draft. And then I could see them just making some small moves, like, I don't know, bringing back the Anthony Bell, bringing back a Jarek Reed, kicking the tires on a Geno Stone, just smaller moves like that if they're not going to give up the bag, and then looking and going into the draft. Because also remember, they still have Nicky Warrior who they're going to cross-train to play deep as well, whether that's strong, free, boundary field, however you want to look at it. But I could see a world where you're like, all right, we got a veteran minimum type of guy like they had with D'Anthony Bell, or like they had that year with like Kavon Wallace, whether that's bringing back D-Bell, a Geno Stone, again, something like that. Got Ty, got Julian, got Nick, and then a rook. That way you can afford to maybe keep another position. If we're going to cash out, if we're not going to cash out on safety, we'll reallocate that money somewhere else. Because again, they would be paying two safeties a pretty healthy bag too. Julian makes like 11 mil. You want to give Kobe around that same or even a little bit more. That a lot of bag on safeties. That's got to come from somewhere else. So it all works together. Big part of the pie. I hope I'm wrong about that one though. I hope we're wrong. Oh wait, you say he's coming back, right?
Yeah, I think he's coming back.
All right, so that's the only one we differ so far. I hope I'm wrong, but I just see a lot of teams being like, we could use that guy. And then oh wait, you got two more. Forgot about Shaheed. Let's do Boye next. Staying or going?
He gone.
That was fast.
It's easy. He wasn't productive enough for the Seahawks to, unfortunately. The tape doesn't even lie in that regard. How many games did you say, damn, where's 53 at? A lot. So that's a tough one, but he got a bowl out of it, and now he's probably going to go to another team and play pretty well. More opportunities, better with the system. Not saying that he wasn't good with this system, but, I mean, he was playing behind some really good D ends. It's not, he just lost himself in the rotation. When you don't get the same snaps, and they put you out there on 3rd and 9, and now DeMarcus Lawrence is making a play. You kind of just get overshadowed. So I think that's just kind of what happened to him this season. He just found himself in a situation where other guys are making plays. He made a couple plays in the Super Bowl. That's great, but by then it's just too late, and they'll draft another guy if anything. If that's the case, lose Boye, draft another guy.
Yeah, I think he's gone. But honestly, for the opposite reason, I just think teams are going to see a lot of value in him. He's pretty young.
He's still talented. Yeah, he's talented. Yeah. He's got some skill. He's not a scrub, as Stephen A. Smith would say. He is not a scrub. But for what this team has, they're just loaded, and there was just no room.
Yeah, that seems to be the issue, I would say. Because like, if I was a team that needed, let's say my pass rush stunk. Let's say I'm the Bengals, and I'm like, all right, well, we're gonna lose Trey Hendrickson. I forget the kid they drafted. I think Shamar Stewart is his name. They drafted him last year in the first round.
Good God.
He didn't play?
Okay, maybe I'm over exaggerating. He was a pain in their ass. I know that much.
Yeah, they had some contract stuff. Yeah, he played 8 games, 1 sack. Yeah. I don't know anything else there, but I bring them up because like if I'm them and I watch Boye's tape, I'm like, wow, this guy wins very quickly. He doesn't always finish at the quarterback, but he gets a lot of quick wins. Even Mike McDonald said this too in Indy. He was like, Boye probably wins the fastest out of anyone because he's like their speed guy, D Hall's power. They work really well together as the backups to two really good guys in Chenna and D Law. So I think if I was another team, I might give Boye like $18 million a year or something. Like, yeah, come on, come be our starter. We're gonna pay you. I'd pay Boye like starter. If I was another team, yeah, for sure. And I'd give him, like you said, I'm not putting you behind nobody. You are You're getting reps around here. Yeah, we're gonna give you some reps, and you're gonna get. I could easily see Boye going to a team that like gives him a ton of reps, plays on like 60% of the snaps, a high number, whatever the high end of edge rushers is. Not Max Crosby because he's a psycho, plays every snap. Whatever the tier below that is of like edge rusher snaps, I could see a team giving him that, and he being a double-digit sack guy. I really could see it. it's there. He wins so fast. He's so long. Such a good athlete. He just is behind 3 really good dudes here. And at this position, if they bring back, if Tank doesn't retire, they keep Chenna and they keep D Hall. I think actually their options here for replacements are actually not that bad. Because basically you just need a 4th edge rusher. We talked about this before when I threw out Jacob Martin and you shot me down. But I honestly, if you just need a 4th guy, like this is the market to need a 4th guy who you're not trying to cash out, but you get a guy maybe even on the tail end of his career who's just like, you know what, I'll go to Seattle. They're nice. I like that defense. I'll take a little cheese off and end my career there. Like I think like if I'm Khalil Mack, I love LA. It's great. I ain't and never won a playoff game ever. Khalil Mack never has. He's in like year 30. All right, let me go up to Seattle and be the 4th guy. They don't need me to play every down. They just need me to just like play in a really good scheme, play with other good players, rush the passer. Great. Jadeveon Clowney. I just saw today Cam Jordan might be available. These are older guys, of course, but like you said, Chris, they're loaded. They don't need a 4th stud. They just need a 4th like pass rush specialist, pretty much. Malcolm Kuntz. I think he last played on the Raiders. Should call Von Miller back. They talked last year. Call him back. So I think they have on top of the draft as well. So I think they could actually make out okay if they're like, all right, boy, go get your bag. We love you. Did great. And when you're 31 and want to come back like Bruce Irvin did,
doors open.
Come on. Yep. Doors open, baby. Yeah. Come on back. Go get paid first, just like Shaq. Shaq, go get paid, brother. You want to come back later when you're like 30 for the vet men, mentor the guys? Hey, come on back, but go get paid for now. So we are in agreement there. I actually really hope that happens for Boye too, because sometimes it is like that. I think I've said this before. It reminds me of Chenna with the Chargers. It's like he was just behind, I think, Bosa and Melvin Ingram. There was no snaps. He comes here and he's great. He's a starter on a Super Bowl winning defense. He just got more ops. That's what Boye needs. Staying here wouldn't even be good for his career. I mean, he'd win, but it's like, nah, you want to get paid and go be the guy? He should do that. Last one. Rasheed Shaheed. Staying or going?
For my YouTube followers, you see what I'm throwing up. He out of here. The time to get it done was when I said in week 16. John Schneider should have been at the locker room like, hey, man, just want to go ahead and get you extended right now. Go ahead and sign on the line. Perfect. We'll see you at practice on Tuesday. Great talking to you. Didn't happen. Here you are. Rumors are circulating of how much money he's expecting to get. He'll go test the market. Somebody might be like, F it. We know what you're capable of. We're paying you X amount of dollars. See you, Seattle. It's unfortunate because he really wanted to be a Seahawk. He made that very clear. I want to retire a Seahawk. If I'm not mistaken, that's what he said at the presser. That ain't gonna happen.
Yeah. So this is probably the other one where we differ. I think they're gonna make it work.
Oh wow.
I think they make it work. I think they're gonna get that same type of Ernest Jones situation where it's like, I'm home here. I'm home. I think they're gonna get there where they don't have to. Where maybe he goes out and tests it, and it's like, oh, I can go get this here, and he comes back and is like, well, my offers were, the Titans, the Browns, like these teams where it's just like, okay, who's throwing me the ball if I go to these places? I'm looking around. I'm not really seeing a lot of like obvious spots, unless he goes to like Carolina or something like that, to be the number 2 to Tet. I actually think that would work out really well. But outside of that, I'm not seeing a bunch of like obvious spots. Not seeing but that also have a stable quarterback situation too. It's like if I'm Shaheed, it's like I want to sign up. Like, who's throwing me this pill? I'm trying to win. I'm gonna just move maybe across the country again, or just move anywhere. So I think they make that work. I think it's gonna be one of those like Ernest, where it's like, is he worth more? Probably. Ernest is definitely, he deserved in real time to get a top 10 linebacker deal. I just can't believe he didn't. But that probably was a situation where it was like, get me the most money you can to stay in Seattle. Because sometimes players do that too. It's like, hey, get me the most money you can to just stay with whoever team is, because I love it here. And sometimes that happens where a guy re-ups. It's like, oh man, dang, he took a little cheese off the top there. He probably could have got paid by such and such. It's like, well, he wanted to be here, you know. So that one's where we differ. And this time I hope I'm right. I hope he stays. And they figure out what to do with, because then they'd have an interesting receiver situation. You got Pay Jax, you're paying Cup. Also, shout out to Cup's agent, by the way, before we get to this, some questions people had. Cup had that little thing in his deal where like $9 million of his $12 million base salary became guaranteed like the 5th day of the waiver period, which basically was 2 days after the parade. So even if they wanted to get rid of him, it was like, hey, everybody hung over. You can't even cut him. Because I kind of thought they could like take that money, reallocate it to Rasheed, but now you just kind of can't, unless you like trade him or something like that. So they kind of stuck with the receiver room right now. Plus, you got Torrey coming back. So, but yeah, I hope I'm right about that one. Hope they bring him back. That I could see that situation where it's like, yeah, go ahead and test it. You're gonna get out there, and a lot of the offers are gonna come from places you probably, not gonna want to be, maybe. Or unless he just goes back to New Orleans and is like, hey, Tyler Shuck, all right. I know that place, let's run it back there. I wouldn't rule that out either, but which one? Seattle, Super Bowl, New Orleans, Cajun food. I don't know. He's a West Coast guy, I think. I think he's from San Diego, maybe. I know he's from California. So, yeah. Did you write? I was gonna say, did you write all our predictions down? We're recording this, but we'll see how we shake out on. I think all this stuff will be done by Tuesday night. By the way, I think all these markets are gonna fly.
Oh yeah,
very fast. I think this will be done very quickly. But I think we're gonna have to wait much. By the time like free agency actually opens on Wednesday, like officially, I think all this will be decided. But we'll see. We'll see. It's just unless these guys got bad agents, like all these guys, I think are signed to legit agencies too. So if I'm repping any of these guys, I'm like, let's go get this now. Like, and if Seattle's not answering the phone because they're dealing with somebody else, then we out of here, man. Like that means they don't value you. So let's bounce. Money talks. Don't tell me you want me back, and then I'm calling you to tell you what the Dolphins offered us, and you're not answering. To Miami we go. No state income tax. South
Sunny.
Beach.
Yeah.
Holla. Biscayne. We here. Let's So so I think this will move very quickly. We'll see though. But I don't anticipate. I fly back from New York on like Thursday. I don't anticipate a still wondering like, ooh, are they gonna bring back Reek? Nah, I think that's gonna happen fast. They're either bringing him back or they not. So again, I think that happened with everybody. Ken, Boye should just go get a bag. But anyway, questions. We got questions from people. So we're gonna close it with some questions. And we said we got at least one voicemail.
Yep.
Hey guys, this is Ross from Mill Creek. So if we kind of look at our top players are potentially going to be leaving us in no particular order, we got Walker, Shaheed, Mafe, and Woolen. All four of those guys, based on some of the projections out there, could bring back potentially a third, maybe fourth round comps. They're kind of all on that line. Then we also got Job and Bryant, who potentially are on the 4th, 5th round line. Now, that is a lot of comp picks potentially coming back. So my question for you guys is, how do you think John is going to straddle the line of, obviously we're in our Super Bowl window, so we want to build the team and compete next year as best we can, but also that's a whole bunch of potential comp picks for, what a lot of people are saying is a pretty strong draft class next year. So anyway, appreciate the show. Thanks for all you guys do.
This is a great question. And I do think that is part of the math for the front office. It's like, hey, let's say we lose. What do we say? Let's just go by yours. You had Ken gone, Reek gone,
Shaheed, Boye. I only kept Kobe.
And Job.
No, kept Kobe and Job. My apologies, yes.
So we're losing 4 guys? Ken, Reek. So we're losing 4 guys, keeping 2. So you lose those 4, and let's say you sign nobody. All right, cool. We might get 4 comp picks. of varying degrees, as the question suggests. Like if Boye does go get paid, might return like a third round comp pick, fourth round. I do think that's part of the math for sure. That said, you do want to have like if you got like magnets on the fridge, like of like what your depth chart, your roster looks like. I always think of that final scene of Friday Night Lights, the movie, where they're like pulling everybody's little name card off. That is how a draft or how a roster looks, like a depth chart. You do need to have some names up there. Like if you just let Ken walk, like I said, I do think you got to sign somebody. Just going into the draft with your 4 picks, George Halani, Jacardia Wright, Kenny McIntosh, Cam Akers, Velus Jones Jr. I just wouldn't do that. I would like to have somebody else in there. So I think that will cancel out some of it. Because remember, without getting too deep into the weeds with comp picks, you have the people you lose have to get signed for a certain amount of money, and there's some other stuff that goes into the formula. And then you have to basically sign no one to balance that back out. Or if you do sign someone, you wait until after the comp pick formula is not a factor, which I think is in like May after the draft. There's a lot that goes into it. That said, I do think part of that math for John is not as much, okay, the draft class next year is stronger. I do think that's part of it. But I think the other part will be, okay, let's say now we're sitting on 4 comp picks. Let's just imagine we're getting 4. And by week 8, we're low on DBs. Okay, cool. We can afford to maybe send a 3rd round pick out or maybe a 2nd round pick out to insert team that's willing to get rid of a DB. We're maybe more willing to do that because now we have extra draft capital in 2027. I could see that also being part of the math as well. It's like, okay, maybe we do think the class next year is stronger, but also, we get to week 8, someone blew their Achilles out or something. So now we need a safety. Now we need a linebacker. Ernest is hurt. Knock on wood. Hopefully that doesn't happen, but it's football. Guys get hurt. Somebody's hurt. Okay, let's call such and such. Offer him a 3rd. We got 2 thirds now because of a comp. Great. I'm almost certain that that's part of the math as well. You don't want to need stuff in August and October and whatever, but that's football. There's a reason they've traded for these guys. There's a reason they traded for Shaheed. Well, that one actually was just not injury based, but there's a reason they traded for Leonard. Chenatoris Peck. There's a reason they traded for Sheldon Richardson. Malik McDowell broke his face. There's a reason they traded for Dwayne Brown. George Fant blew his knee out. Like that stuff happens. John prepares for it. Comp picks can factor into that as well. Like, hey, we know we're getting a 4th, so we can afford to give out a 4th or whatever, or give out a 3rd or whatever. So yes, great question. I do think that's part of the math. Should that be part of the math? Better question. Not sure. Because comp picks, I think it's only should be part of the math in the way that I'm saying it with trades, not necessarily because the draft next year is stronger. You're trying to win in 2026. Like Leonard Williams is going to be in year 12 next year or something. Jay Reed in like year 11 next year. D-Law, if he comes back, year 13 or whatever. Those guys don't give a damn about no 2027 draft. You owe it to those guys on your team to try to win now. So I do think that needs to, if you're talking about comp picks, it needs to be like, all right, we can improve the team in 2026 with those comps, not just 2027 draft classes better.
This is from Adam. It's obvious for the average fan to see what JSN brings to the team and why you'd need to match that with a massive contract. It's less so for a DB who doesn't get a lot of interceptions. What is it about Witherspoon that makes him so exceptional and takes away the debate about giving big money to an outside guy?
It's a great question. I have an answer, but you're a film watcher like me. How would you explain where the value Spoon brings to the team that people can't necessarily see by watching the broadcast?
For instance, there are plays that he creates because he knows football and is so talented, so smart, that it creates plays for everyone else. And you don't see that on a broadcast. I think the best, the play that he made where Nick Emenwari gets an interception. What game was that, Mike? You might remember the exact game. The Falcons. Spoon play. They're playing cover 2, and he clearly watched the tape and knew something was up, and he just attacked it. Now, everyone thought, Nick Emenwari, great play. But it's actually Spoon that made that play happen. Him being able to diagnose a specific formation from the offense, realizing, oh yeah, I think they're going to do this here. I believe it was also a third down. So obviously they want to get to the sticks because you don't want to sit back there and allow that D line to feast on your offensive line because that's one of the best D lines in the NFL. So what do? You get the ball out quick, and Spoon was all on it. So from a standpoint of watching film, Spoon just has a lot of those plays where he is where he needs to be. And sometimes it's just he's a football player. The play is designed for Spoon to do A, B, and C, but Spoon's like, I know ball here. I'm going to play ball. And that you just can't teach. Either you know football or you have to be taught it and you do it the way it's always lined up. You're doing A, B, and C. Nah, that's not how Spoon operates. He knows football. Yeah, the play is for you to do this, but if he sees something, he's going to react and make a play, and maybe he doesn't get that play. And then the crazy part is he's a phenomenal guy that gets in the backfield and makes plays, whether it's getting after the quarterback. I mean, hell, they unleash. Mike McDonald said, hey, bro, it's your time. He just sent that man on pressures, sent him off the edge. He's beaten 350-pound linemen to the quarterback. Swim moves, too. Like, get off me. Tackle. A sack, excuse me. That is how special he is. And you don't get that with a lot of nickel corners. There aren't that many that can do what he's doing. Usually they put a safety in that scenario. If they're going to blitz him, a lot of teams will just bring down a safety and put him at nickel and he'll blitz in. Nah, Spoon plays nickel. He can also go outside and cover one of the best. He is just one of them that is really talented. And like I said, you don't see it all the time because maybe someone else makes a play, but he also gets in the backfield and he's physical. Dude looked like he weighed 180 pounds, but he plays like he weighs 220. He's violent and he's fast. He's quick in that short area speed. And that's just something you just can't get every season in the draft. So he is one of one in that turn. In that, I would say.
Yeah, I think another a play where he doesn't get pretty much any credit statistically for it is Kobe's pick 6 in 2024. You know, he plays the zone read. He actually read it wrong
against the Cardinals.
Yeah, where Kobe grabs his nuts in the end zone. Yeah.
And then he blocks James Conner and does the little man pose mid play.
Yeah, so he reads it wrong at first, spins around, pressures Kyler. Kyler makes a bad throw. So he forces the bad throw and makes the lead block so Kobe can score. In the stat book, he gets nothing. That's it. Maybe a pressure. Maybe he gets a quarterback pressure. But that's like an advanced statistic as opposed to like interceptions. So in terms of plays, he brings a lot of that. And I think the last thing, Spoon reminds me a little bit of Earl in that like what he allows you to do schematically, it just opens up. It allows you to have the pen last. It allows you to just dictate what your terms on your side of the ball. Like Earl was so rangy that like he allowed the Seahawks to just play a bunch of cover 3. They couldn't do that if Earl was that rangy. It had any less range than he had, Earl, it just wouldn't happen. That's why Earl should be a no-brainer Hall of Famer. Earl also had some stats. He got a lot of picks. But independent of that, it was very like what Earl allows them to do. You watch the tape and they're like, wow, teams just can't throw it over the middle because of number 29. Even if number 29 is not actually making any plays, it's like they just can't throw it over there. Like what he allows them. Then you can do a bunch of stuff underneath because they just won't throw it. Same thing with Spoon. They can run any coverage they want. They can run any front they want. They can do any blitz they want from any depth, and have anything behind it because number 21 unlocks so much stuff. That's probably he's kind of like Earl. That'd be the best way I would explain it. And that is worth $30 million a year in today's market for corners. It just is.
This is from Bam Bam Cam. Would you go all in right now and spin big to try to win another Super Bowl, even if it means sacrificing the future? Or would you stick with the more sustainable approach John has taken in the past?
Yeah, this is a great question as well. And it goes to what I was mentioning about like, all right, cool. You don't want to pay everybody? You should draft like a lot. They should draft like 10 guys. Seriously, that's how you should do it. If you're only going to draft like 4 or 5, then you should pay some people. And yes, I would go all in. One, it's not my money, but also new ownership is coming in, so you don't know what. That's just a huge wild card. Try to win while Jody still owns the team. Like try to do everything while she still has it. But also, even with the new ownership, if I'm John Schneider, particularly John, who just signed an extension, Mike McDonald probably should get one very soon. By the time he comes back from Hawaii, which I believe is where he is now, when he gets back, he should have a new like extension, making him like the highest paid head coach in the NFL. Not joking. He definitely should. And if you got that, like if they both go into 2026 with that level of job security, I feel like they can afford to go all in and realize, okay, if we only go 11-6, losing the divisional, we're not all going to get fired, right? We're not going to get Doug McDermotted, right? We'll be okay. You can afford to push the button in and not have to worry about new ownership just cleaning house. I think they've earned some goodwill, so I think they can afford to do that. Because that would be the fear. It's like, okay, if we push the button and it doesn't work, are we going to get canned? Like, I'm not trying to just lose my job. And that's a fair fear, I believe, on the part of a lot of organizations, head coach, GM. The Seahawks shouldn't have that fear. You're not getting fired. Unless you go like 3-14, this isn't, everyone's fine. But if you push the button and say, all right, here's some void years, let's keep Reek. Here's some void years, let's keep Shaheed and Ken. And yes, we can run everybody back in 2026. But by like 2028, we're cutting half the team because these salaries look crazy. Maybe you do that. But maybe you also have another ring night because you did that. So I personally would do that. Not just because it's not my money, but also because you built up the goodwill. You're not going to get fired. And I don't think you're paying the wrong people. Like sometimes you just shouldn't pay guys. Like sometimes it's like, hey, this person at that price is probably not going to outperform that contract. They're just not. Like when they didn't pay Frank, I was like, you know what? That's fine. If you don't want to give Frank Clark $20 million a year, okay. Maybe I disagree with that in the moment. I know a little bit more about football now, so I understand. Like if they didn't want to do that, cool. Like even in Reek's case, if they're like Reek, like I think what'd you say, Chris? If he's like 25 million a year or something like that would be like JC Horn money. If they're like, we're not gonna do that, okay, fine. Sometimes you just gotta say no. That's cool. But if you can get closer to where you guys are on middle ground and you got to throw some void years in a deal to make it happen to lower the cap hits, like do it. I would do that. I think it's worth it. I think they're cheap in some other places. Like their O line's locked up. That's a big one. Their D line's in a good spot. You don't really got to pay any of them unless you pay Boye. But like Charles Cross's deal, I'm looking at it now. Has 2 void years in it. Charles Cross makes $26 million a year. His cap hit in 2026 is $10 million. But he makes 26 because of some creative accounting. I would be willing to do that to keep some guys. Like I'm not gonna lose some of these dudes over like $4 million per year or something like that. Particularly Kobe and Ken. It's like, man, if that's the case, throw some void years. Well, it's cash that the new ownership's gonna have to deal with anyway. Let's do it. So that's what I would do.
This is from Chris Leeper. Why would the Seahawks let Shaheed walk given his impact on the back half of the season? And they also gave up 2 picks for him.
I think the pick thing, there's a history of the Seahawks doing both. Of, all right, we traded for you, but it's not good for us to keep you. They didn't re-sign Jimmy Graham. They didn't re-sign Percy. They traded away Percy. They said, no, we paid you, give up a first, but this is not working. Got rid of him. They didn't re-sign Jimmy. I think they had him for 2 years, but whatever. Didn't re-sign him when that deal was up. Didn't re-sign Sheldon Richardson. They gave up a 2nd-round pick to get Sheldon. And Jermaine Kearse, I believe. Said, hey, nope, not going to re-sign you. Clowney gave up, I think, a 3rd, and then Jacob Martin and Barkevius Mingo, I think it was. Didn't re-sign him. So it's not guaranteed that just because they give up whatever it is to get you, that they bring you back. Yes, they have re-signed Ernest and Leonard and Quandre and Dwayne, but it's not a guarantee. It's like 50-50 damn near. Now I think about it, trading for a guy and then bringing them back, in Percy's case, they had already paid him, but so I think that would be one reason why it's like, sometimes we just don't want to bring that guy back. Yeah, we gave up those picks. Don't matter. It's just not the right business decision for whatever reason. And I think they made the right call in all of those that they didn't. Sheldon, Clowney, Jimmy, I think those were all the right call, by the way. And I think paying the guys they paid was the right call. Dwayne, Quandre, Ernest, Leo. I think those are all the right call. So, and I think bringing back Shaheed would be the right call for what it's worth. But they do have a budget. And when you're paying Cooper Kupp's cap, it's like the 4th highest on the team or something. That you can move that around, I believe. But right now, it is. And if you're gonna pay Jax and Cooper Cup's a $17 million cap hit, and you gotta pay Shaheed, like that would be the answer. It's like there's only so much in the budget for 3 receivers and a run first offense with the best defense in the league. It's just hard to do that. Again, the money has to come from somewhere. In their minds, it has to come from somewhere. So that would be why. Not to say I'd agree, but there's logic behind it. If they say, Mike, hey Mike, hey Chris, Shaheed's guy just called us and said the Chiefs offered him $15 million a year. We're not doing that. We got to pay Jax 40, paying Cup 15. Give another guy 15, we just can't do it. I'd be like, yeah, you should do it, but I'd be like, I hear you. That's a lot. I would understand unless Shaheed's gonna run the ball 100 times a year, too. Then I would get it. But no, so that would be that's the logic, and it's not logic that is hard to connect the dots on either. That's something I could actually you could talk me into if the organization says this is why we let this guy walk.
Got a few more. This is from DTLWBA81. Given Kenneth Walker had such an impact, and running backs do generally, why are they seemingly valued so low financially? Man, there's a couple of reasons. You got high risk injury because they get smacked every time they touch the football. I think the salary cap strategy, I think they're probably at the bottom of the list. You would have quarterback, maybe a wide receiver, or actually quarterback, edge rushers, corners, left tackle, and then
I can tell you by a franchise tag basically quantifies what you were trying to lay out.
There you go.
The highest franchise tags are in order, and this is basically again what you're talking about. It can be quantified by this. The highest franchise tags are in order: quarterback, receiver, defensive tackle, linebacker, offensive line. Now, linebacker, this includes outside linebackers, by the way. So like Micah Parsons, would be in that. Offensive line, they're all lumped together, but the tackle number is bringing that up. Defensive end, this would be like Crosby, Trey Hendrickson, guys that were 4-3 D ends. Corner, safety, tight end, and then running back is last. Only ahead of special teams. It's like kickers and punters.
Not to mention,
to your point, they're last.
Not to mention, you can replace them. You can get a running back. I think Mike had a joke and was like, "Bro, you just what school has good running backs? Just draft one of those guys. You'll be okay."
Wisconsin, Bama, just do it every year. Ohio State,
you'll be okay. And the short career peak, the one guy that is a perfect example of this, Todd Gurley. He went from, remember guys, offensive player of the year to not even in the league no more. I think in 2 seasons, was it 2 or 3? That is insane. Mind you, he was giving Seahawks drugs. Like every week, it was like this dude. He turned to Barry Sanders when he get the football against the Seahawks. He was phenomenal. He did that across the league. That's why he won Offensive Player of the Year. But a few seasons later, nobody even wanted him. That's the reason why K9's getting the short end of the stick and why running backs get the short end of the stick. You can get a guy in the 7th round and he'll be fine. Isaiah Pacheco, I think he was a 7th round pick. He's doing just fine.
Yes.
Who else is there? Throw out another. Dang, who am I thinking? We'll just stick with that one. That's a perfect one. Isaiah Pacheco, 7th round, runs like a maniac. Cool. You know what's gonna happen when his deal's up? He's probably gonna be on another team, unless he really loves Kansas City. He has won a few rings, so he has incentive to stay. I don't know where he's from or anything, but he's been winning. So
I think he's from Jersey. I think he went to Rutgers as well.
He got a couple of them things on his fingers. So he's probably like, bro, I'm not leaving to go play for some scrubs and get, a bunch of carries and then, win 6 games. That doesn't sound fun. I'll stay in KC for a deal. What's up? I'm with it. So I'm saying that the Seahawks are thinking, they can go out and just go get another guy because that's just the reality of the situation. Mike just went through the franchise tag. Running backs are at the bottom of the list. You don't franchise tag running backs. The Jets, terrible organization. No surprise there. But continue.
Yeah, no, I think, and the last thing I'd add to that, you're right, across the board. The last thing I would add to that is that college football churns out running backs, just in general, like high quality running backs at a position that the learning curve is not very steep. Like maybe it takes like a defensive tackle like Byron Murphy a year to get, okay, this is how it works. Maybe even a receiver, like, oh, I need a year. Quarterback, maybe I need like 2 years to play, and then it clicks. Running backs, that clicks right away. Right away. And running back is probably the only position I would say I can expect. I wouldn't be surprised if I got an all-pro player in any round of the draft at running back. Any round. 7th, 6th, all the way to top 5. It's obviously better. You're more likely, I think, if you spend a higher pick. But like if you tell me, yeah, I got this Pro Bowl back in the 6th round, I'd be like, yeah, probably. And another good example besides Pacheco in the 7th round, Chris Carson, by the way. Another really good 7th round.
Play for the Seahawks. There you go.
Exactly. Yeah. So that would probably be the other part of it, is just like college football produces that because the American population has that body type. You can be a pretty wide-ranging body type and play running back. You can be anywhere from Jaquiz Rogers to Derrick Henry and Brandon Jacobs, right? Like, whereas O-line, you have to be a certain height, you have to be fat, you have to be fat and athletic. America just doesn't produce that many fat athletic kids, so it's hard to produce fat athletic adults. Anybody can be running back. Like, you can be 5'9", $180. You could also be 6'4", 240. And play like in anything in between, you can be running back. So the American population makes kids that and then are athletic at those weights and heights. And so there's just more of them. Anybody can play running back, right? Whereas there's just not that many athletic fat kids. So that's why offensive linemen get paid. That's why 3 techniques get paid, because it's just not making as many athletic fat kids. That's why an average Damian Lewis, who's a good guard, he's not like elite, got like $13 million a year, which is why John Snyder said the guards are overrated and overpaid thing. The reason he said that is because he's like, yeah, if you're a fat kid and you're athletic, you're going to rush the passer because you should, right? But really, if you want to have a super long career and get paid, go learn how to snap or learn how to get in your stance and go backwards. But anyway, running back, America just produces more kids, so college football then produces more kids. That way, if I need another running back, I can go get one in the 4th round, and I got 5 good offensive linemen. We'll be straight. So that is why running backs are devalued, and why it's not going to change.
This last one comes from KJ. With the injury history of Torrey Horton, do y'all think it's the right plan to basically count on an older Cooper Kupp, who has also had injury concerns, and Horton duo, and just pray JSN keeps doing whatever yoga he does to stay flexible and healthy? Because if he gets hurt, it's good game.
Did we talk about that? I think it was the Vikings game where he got bent backwards.
Yes,
and was just fine. JSN, that is. That picture is nuts, and he's perfectly okay. And then you go look at the play where Nick Imawari hurt his ankle. I think Leo falls on it, and he's out like a month. And I still don't know what happened to Julian Love's hamstring. He missed 9 games, whereas JSN bent all the way back. It just hopped up. Some guys are just nuts. I bring that up, though, to also say, to answer this question, injury history is not always predictive. Everyone and their mama swore Ken Walker's injury prone. He just played 20 games. Just played 20 and was running hard as hell the whole time. Kupp, injury prone coming into this year. Missed 1 game. Julian Love had been perfectly healthy his entire career. Missed 9 games. It's not an exact science. It's different for different guys at different spots. They can be perfectly fine, and then it just takes 1 injury, then they're cooked. It just, like you mentioned, Todd Gurley, Offensive Player of the Year. He was All-Pro in 2018, out the league by 2021. Every guy is different. So keep that in mind with the injury history. Some guys, they'll be perfectly okay, and then they're not. It just kind of is what it is. And sometimes guys are just, they get the bug, they're hurt. Then they sign somewhere else and they're perfectly fine. Like Kupp. Kupp had been hurt. This is the most games I think Kupp's played in years. Gotta be. Like, what did he play? He played, what, 19 of their 20 games? Something like that? Yeah, played 19 of their 20 games. He hadn't done that since 2021. You'd have never expected him to do that. And he did it. Right? I don't know if he started doing Pilates, it was Seattle Air. He hung out with Jackson and they did yoga together. Who knows? So keep that in mind with injury history. The last part of this, I would say, this is why I shouted out Cup's agent, because if he had one of them little things in his contract where it's like, hey, on March 13th, he was due $9 million. Like I think someone else in their deal has that who just got cut. I have to look it up. Someone who just got traded today or whatever or got cut. They have something like that. DJ Moore maybe. Anyway, if Cup had one of those, I think he would have been gone. If his thing was like, hey, on March 14th, you owe Cup $10 million, I think that he'd be gone, and that money would have gone to Shaheed. Because he's already getting it, he's here. So what would I have done? I probably would have taken that money and said, hey, thank you, Cooper. Your mentor, Jax. Love you. Local boy. Great story. We'll call you on ring night. Probably go in the ring of honor just because you're from here. We need to pay Shaheed. And that's just how the business goes. That's probably what I would have done. And I would have run out Tory, Shaheed, and Jax. I said, cool. 2 fast guys and Jax, who does everything. That's probably what I've done. Now, I don't know. Now I think it gets a little trickier, even with Tory's injury history. But again, Tory could be hurt, and then just be fine. Or he could be hurt and get hurt again. It's just hard to predict. I still don't know what's wrong with Tory's shin. I don't know if they've had to amputate Tory leg. I don't know. Who knows? I do know Mike McDonald said he got surgery. Surgery to do what? Who knows? What country was it in? Did he go to Turkey, Switzerland, San Francisco? You know, these guys fly all over to get worked on. So I would have reallocated the money. But now I don't think you can do that. I think it'd be irresponsible now to like get rid of Cup. But also I think they should bring back Shaheed. So would you we're torn on Shaheed, right? You said you think he's going.
I think he's going back. Yeah.
So Chris could be right. I could be right. I don't know. But I think that the way the season played out made it tricky, and the way Cup's contract is made it tricky as well. Otherwise, I think they would have just taken that money and moved it. Now it's like, shout out to Cup's agent. This is the value of having a good agent. If you read somewhere the guys don't need agents, that's BS. Cup's guy, I think, greatly contributed to why his guy is currently on the team. That's the way he set that contract up. It really was.
Well, look, it's been a while since we spoke to you guys, but we've got a good long one for you here, talking free agency, talking a little bit about the future of some guys and whether or not they will be returning and whatnot. So it's going to be a busy next week. We will have to come back and give you our thoughts on a new look Seattle Seahawks team. That's probably going to change quite a bit. I know, Mike, how many guys do you think you said would stay? About out of the 5 guys that we named, you said 3 would return. That would be, you got Rasheed returning. You said
I think I have Job, Rasheed, and Kobe coming back.
Okay, those 3. So yeah, we'll see. It should be a very interesting start to the off season, literally, and then next thing you know, we're talking draft. But I know you still got these lying around, or shipping them out, I should say.
I do still have books. I have an order that I have not fulfilled yet. I'm sorry. I will get your book to you. I've had 2 sick kids at the house, but they're both feeling better now after lots of kid Tylenol, Vicks, and using the little thing to suck the snot out of their nose. Yuck. Yeah, it's awful. My son hates that. But I do got books. Appreciate it. Also, last thing, I think the player I was thinking of was DJ Moore, who has a big portion of his contract becoming guaranteed soon, which is part of why the Bears got rid of him. Also, Diggs had that as well. Diggs had a portion of his deal getting guaranteed. They said, God bless, go be a family man with your bazillion kids. And you can go do that. Cup avoided that fate, I think, based on the way his contract was structured. So shout out to having good agents, man. That helped. But yeah, buy my book. Appreciate the love and support. Chris is right. A very lengthy show, but we haven't talked in a minute. And we probably won't talk again until after free agency. So that's our predictions. We'll see who's right. We'll see what the money looks like. Enjoy free agency. I'm gonna have a bunch of stories and stuff as things go. Try to break as much news as I can without just cozying up to the agents. But have a good week, or good weekend. It's dropping Friday. Have a good free agency week. We'll try to talk to you guys when I get back from New York. So I think it's Thursday night. So have fun, be safe, enjoy the off season. Peace.